All right, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Nerds Drink Whiskey. We are strongly encouraging your comments and definitely encouraging your shares. Remember that this show survives. Our growth depends on you guys sharing this on any and every social media platform you can. That's the only way we're going to grow. So please do that. Today we are reviewing Sir Edward's 12. This is a French company, but they very clearly say that it is, aged and distilled in Scotland, so it is Scotch.
It is a product of Scotland.
Product of Scotland, yeah, but...
Scotch?
I don't know whether, maybe we can put it down in the, if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, we'll put down in the credits below. We'll say, I can't remember whether you can you blend it in France, because it's a product of France, but it was distilled and aged in Scotland, so they can still call it Scotch.
It's a product of Scotland.
Oh, it does say product of
Scotland?
Scotland?
Yes, it is product of Scotland.
Okay, so yeah. I mean,
so it is a Scotch by
so
law.
maybe it's just sold, but I didn't think that you can... I know I've heard that you can't send like what's called a tote of Scotch outside without and still call it Scotch. So I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Do they actually call this Scotch?
Yes.
Yeah, blended Scotch.
Scotch whiskey.
Yeah. So I don't know where that lies. It's kind of weird.
That's very interesting.
I know that a lot of times they're from. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I hate to plug the competitors, but I'm a big fan of the Whiskey Tribe, and they just did an episode where they introduced a term I'd never heard before, which is teaspooning.
3 coins from a dead man's pocket. 2 teaspoons of wishful thinking.
Where if you try and buy a tote full of single malt, that they will actually put a teaspoon of another malt in there, so that you can't call it a single malt anymore. But
this doesn't say single malt on it.
Single malt, and I know that they say that you can't call it Scotch either. So I don't know. But
registered since 1891, the trademark.
Yeah. So now, so the name Sir Edward's is that old, but that's about all that means. So, but my question is okay. Number one, what these guys think of the whiskey. I already know what I think, because this is my bottle. But I also want to have everyone guess what regions they think that this was sourced from. So most blended scotches that I've had actually say it's a blended Highland, it's a blended Speyside, a blended Islay, but this just says it's blended. It doesn't say what regions, and I have a guess. Let's see what your guesses are, and let's see what their guesses are. So Dark Helmet, do your thing.
Ludicrous speed!
Okay, Jeff?
Yeah.
What regions do you think?
Don't think it's a Highland. It's too heavy. So maybe a Speyside, or...
I'm thinking it's more than one region.
Yeah. What's the region by the coast? I can't remember the name. That's the... There's that one that...
I think that there's
How
a
many regions
there's
of
a sailor
Scotland
Scotch, but
Right.
a sailor Scotch can be... A sailor Scotch can be...
well, this reminds me of like the... What was it? The Old Pulteney?
Yeah, which I
Right.
think was a...
That was one on the coast.
Well, it was, but I think that was a... I think that was a Speyside.
Right, so that... Yeah, because like Highlands are usually lighter and fruitier.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's always exceptions, but that's what you would...
is really peaty.
Yeah, and yeah, this one's pretty heavy and pretty fruity, and like, well, yeah, kind of heavy and woody, I guess you'd call it.
I really want to say a Speyside myself.
Yeah.
Strictly Speyside?
Damn.
You're going straight Speyside?
I could be wrong. I think it's at least predominant Speyside because just that kind of smoky flavor without the peat, at least in my experience, which isn't a whole lot, but it's still there, is definitely going to be more of a Speyside.
Do you have a definitive answer on that? Which blends you think it is?
Yeah, I would say mostly Speyside, but yeah, because there's
What else?
there's
What
a
else? You say mostly Speyside, so you thinking what's the ratio?
Well, you can also do Islay without the peat.
Okay.
So I'm thinking Islay without the peat. So, because yeah, Islays are usually like that heavier smoky flavor, and yeah, it has a lot of that charred wood quality to it, even if it doesn't have the peat.
So my guess is that it's the ratio is 2 Speyside to 1 Islay.
Yeah, that could be right.
Yeah, because I'm tasting a little bit of Islay, but it's definitely not predominant.
Yeah.
I think that it.
This would be something I think that Ed would actually really enjoy.
Yeah, and Ed decided to put his new career and his new business and putting a roof over his head and food on the table as a priority.
Rather than the whiskey in his belly?
Rather than doing this show. So shame on him.
Oh, you know what? Next week's no good for me. The Jonas Brothers are in town.
And Jeff, so we've talked about what regions are involved in this.
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your opinion of the whiskey?
I like it. It's got a nice heavy flavor to it. You know, a lot of flavor. Doesn't really kick you in the mouth. Yeah, definitely easily drinkable. I don't know that you'd want more than one just because it's really heavy. But I only drink one at a time anyway. So there you go.
Yep, I think my rule of thumb has always been 2 fingers is a really good amount of whiskey. 3 fingers, I noticed that you're starting to feel a little bit, so I try and keep it no more than 3 fingers a night myself. But you know, what's your thoughts on the whiskey, Gabe?
Well, honestly, on the 2 fingers bit, I kind of like that idea. You know, usually 2 fingers, but good thing I have pretty big fingers.
Well, you know, yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, actually, this is a very, very good blended Scotch whiskey for me. I'm used to drinking stuff that is not quite as good as this. And I'm guessing, I don't know, how much did this run a bottle?
Hold on, let's go to some kind of a random segue while I go find out. Keep it working.
Anyway, the good Lord would never disrupt the...
All right, so it was $24 in the state where I'm from, but this is also our buddy Steven over at Total Wine. This is something that we think that was one of his picks. So for a blended, it's not bad. I can say even Steven has recommended betters, but this is good. I myself would be more apt to buy it if it was maybe a $20. It's not quite a $30 whiskey as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know. Going down the line, recommend, not recommend?
Yeah, I recommend it.
Okay.
I can honestly say that I would definitely recommend it, especially if you're looking for something that's blended that you don't want to...
Who among you has the power to censor the censor?
A
ton of money.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, a good, hefty amount. Yeah. So we don't want to get that profanity iTunes tag.
Yeah,
so,
I keep getting that.
So
hey, this is the first time I messed up in a while.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's it for this week of Nerds Drink Whiskey. Next week, we are going to be reviewing a whiskey called Screwball. And it is a flavored whiskey, which we don't do flavored whiskeys that often, but a lot of people are talking about this one, so we figured we'd cover it. But this is a peanut butter flavored whiskey.
Oh,
so,
yeah. No idea what we're in for here.
Oh, no.
Sorry. I'm not going to hold your hand if you're scared. But see you next week. Nerds Drink Whiskey for Screwball peanut butter flavored whiskey.
You'll be scared if I get sick on you.